Today we have a very fun and special episode because we are going to unlock Disney's private island, Castaway Cay.
That is correct. Today we are talking about cruising. Well, not necessarily cruising, a destination on your cruise that you go to when you visit a Disney cruise.
A destination, one of the best destinations, such a fun place to visit. And yes, we will do like a whole unlocking maybe Disney Cruise Line in the future, because actually when I was researching for Castaway Cay, I had pulled up a bunch of things of Walt Disney himself, his love of cruising. He went on a honeymoon cruise with his wife. So he was a big fan of that cruise feeling, of that getaway, that it's really such a wonderful way to relax.
I wasn't always sure if I wanted to do a cruise.
I like how you pause to choose your words carefully. That was good.
I'm trying to decide on how I want to say this because cruising is fantastic, especially Disney Cruise Line. I don't think that I think if you're going to do a cruise, Disney Cruise Line is the way to go. Between the food, the quality of the service, the quality of the ship, the theming, everything is on point.
Right.
Now, if you're like me and you don't necessarily like to be around a lot of people in a closed area, it may not be the best place for you. But Castaway Cay is an amazing place. And I'm not one to sit on the beach and just relax and do nothing. But Castaway Cay had so many things to either do, exciting-wise or relaxing-wise,
I was going to say,
it kind of turned my opinion around on cruising.
I wanted to interrupt you. I was really being patient.
Thanks for that.
You're welcome. Because I wanted to say, number one, yes, you are not one to kind of sit back and relax, but I did find you doing that on the island. And I you're right. Like there was enough for you to do, but I felt like it was almost as if there was no worry in your mind of being bored, because you could relax when you wanted to. And if you didn't want to just hang out, there was things that you could do. So it kind of alleviated that stress.
Yeah, there's so many good things to do there.
Did a deep dive, and I watched their very first, it was 1998 when Disney Cruise Line became a thing. And they released their very first commercial, their first two commercials I watched. And it was, I've been obsessed with watching vintage type commercials lately. And it was really good. Like, I don't think they make commercials like they used to.
Who, Disney themselves or just in general?
In general, but yeah, Disney I think could pump it up a little bit.
Disney could take a little bit of advice on social media and marketing from Universal. Not that Universal is fantastic, but they have a little bit more of an edge. Disney tends to be a little bit more buttoned up, and it lacks
past.
enthusiasm. I know, but now, what I'm saying, like before, they probably weren't as much. But yeah, that's good, because a lot of people probably see CAY, and a lot of people, I mean me, and immediately say Castaway Cay.
That being said.
Or say.
Whatever, right? So a Cay, also spelled Key, both pronounced as, quote, Key, is a small, low island consisting mostly of sand, coral, and situated on top of a coral reef. I did some research there.
Fantastic.
Your spelling vocabulary word of the day, guys.
That's what Key stands for?
That's what Cay, C-A-Y, what it is. The definition. But I just want to say, back to the pronunciation portion, is that Bruce and I will never judge you for pronouncing it. You pronounce it however you want, because, right, chimichanga,
of course,
anything
well, except
goes.
for that.
Oh, it's chimichanga?
No, it's chimichanga.
Oh.
Anthony Bourdain said chimichanga on a video on his show that aired on television. And if I trust any pronunciations about food, I trust Anthony Bourdain.
I think you did post something about that on Patreon recently.
So it is chimichanga to all you people who are emailing us.
Okay. All right. So now we got that out of the way. I forget where we were going in the beginning. Sorry, but I just needed to get that point across, because I know that there's a lot of confusion out there. Again, say it however you want. We're not going to judge you. And it is spelled with C-A-Y, which is hard because, and I think I was reading somewhere, and I can't remember where I found it, but there was some confusion also because Carnival Cruise Line has an island that is spelled C-A-Y, and they pronounce it K.
Maybe that's why Disney did it this way. They didn't want to associate with that lack of a cruise line, Carnival.
Carnival's more of a party ship, but that's fine.
Okay.
You're obviously not a big fan of parties. That's
no.
fine. Okay. All right. So the island number one was originally known as Gorda Cay, and it was used for farming.
Really?
Farmers. Yeah, for nearby islands.
That's interesting.
And it did have...
Wait, how do you... Well, I guess you could use it for farming because if you go to the island itself, there's not a lot there other than what you see when you're on the beach or the areas right there.
Yeah, so it was used for the... Well, okay. It was used for that. There was a little hiccup on the island, some not so great things happening.
Pirates?
You could call it pirates. Some things happening on the
Bootlegging?
island.
Were they bootlegging rum?
Little history. I'll leave it up to you for your imagination.
Wait a second. Is this the island that Captain Jack Sparrow got stranded on for 3 days?
Could be.
And he got off by rum runners?
I'll let you use your imagination on that. If you'd like to do more research on your own, feel free.
I'm going to say yes.
Okay. Feel free to do your own research. But I just wanted to mention that because there is a small hiccup, a small blip, if you will, of the island itself being a beautiful island.
All right.
Okay. Listen, you know.
Hey, listen, we all have hiccups in our lives.
That said, so part of that history, there's actually an airstrip, and it still remains on the island.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Well, if you're on the island and you kind of walk around it, there's these paths, and they look like airstrips.
Yeah.
So it might be one of those bike paths that you can go on.
I didn't go on the bike, so I don't know what you saw.
We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Okay. All right, next fact that I found that was super interesting was that under the Touchstone Pictures umbrella, so Disney and Touchstone, they had the Disney owned Touchstone and produced a lot of movies. They filmed, I know you're going to love this. They filmed the beach scenes in the 1984 film.
Hold on, let me just take a listen. 1984, what movies came out in Splash?
You are correct.
Am I really?
Yes, featuring Tom Hanks and Daryl one of my favorites.
Wow, I totally guessed at that. Like, yeah, I did not know that.
Yeah, you didn't. Yep. And so they actually did, before Disney even planned to use this island, for anything, they did do filming here, which I think is really neat. So the way films works, like they pay for scouts basically, and they go and they look for areas that will work in their film. And this happened to be, I think, clearly a very beautiful place to shoot the scene.
Well, if you've ever been to the island, you get off the boat. It's very well organized.
Yeah.
The water is very calm and clear. It's not a beach where you're going to go surfing or body surfing or have fun in the waves. It's more of a relaxing atmosphere there. So it's probably good for a movie like that because it's predictable.
That's true. I didn't think of it that way, which is funny to me that you love it so much because just knowing you're not into beaches that don't have large waves.
Yeah, but this beach has a lot to do. You can go snorkeling rather.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily, when you're doing snorkeling with kids, you don't necessarily want big waves coming in and crashing on you.
You're like,
because it's going to be a little nerve-wracking watching your children there. The calm seas help with the snorkeling and making sure that you can enjoy your snorkeling time, but you're also keeping an eye on your kids.
Not to mention, you're probably to get to the island, it's a few days in. You've already on your excursion on the cruise ship, and all that salt air and all that sun is probably make you tired, so you probably don't need the extra exertion of some waves can be. I remember when we were down in Cocoa Beach recently.
Yeah, they can be a little crazy.
It was tough. It was tough to navigate some of those waves, I'll tell you.
I think it depends on what you're doing there, too.
True.
The way they have it set up is you relax. They have a little jungle gym area that's kind of, 30, 40 feet out into the water that you can wade out to, that kids can climb on and get some excitement that way. You can snorkel, you can swim with some animals, you can do some bike riding. They have it pretty well set up where there's a lot to do if you're a person like me who doesn't just want to sit on the beach for 6 hours.
Right.
But if you are a person who wants to sit on the beach for 6 hours, you can do that too.
You can do that too. Now, first of all, I should have probably started this whole entire episode with a little more in depth of basically explaining where Castaway Cay is, because Key is, wow, I almost said Cay again.
Say both so everybody knows what you're talking about.
It's actually a Bahamian island. So it's in the Bahamas before, and it served, like I said, a lot of purposes before it was acquired by the Walt Disney Company. So I thought that was a fact I should have said in the beginning. But
was it devalued because of what it was before? Is that how Disney got it? They said, you know what? Let's look for some islands that had a shady past.
A little shadiness happening.
And that'll give us a little bit of an edge when we make an offer on these islands.
It was literally just a blip. That's all.
So you're telling me I should bring a metal detector and go look for things?
I'm not saying it was treasure. You're the one that using. I said, if you want to know more about that blip. You have to do your own research.
Okay.
I'd rather not talk about it on air.
Roger that.
Okay. So, speaking of Disney, they acquired the island for... Oh, actually, I should ask you. Do you know how much they acquired the island for? It's obviously in the millions, so...
I'm going to say, well, how much is a private island
right?
value? I would say...
I don't know, Johnny Depp owns a private island somewhere.
I'd say like an island like this that didn't have much on it when it comes to infrastructure. And it's kind of in a secluded area. And it's not the best looking island in the world if you look at it from the air, other than the beach itself, which Disney made.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say $4.5 million.
That's it. That's your final answer.
My final answer, but I'm feeling like I'm a little bit low on that.
You are very low because it was for, a cool $25 million.
Who owned it before Disney? Does it say?
Well, I think there's an island that is like the mainland.
Yeah.
That they owned it. That's what I believe.
So like, you know what? We have that island over there. We're a little short on some cash. Let's sell that thing.
It's 3.1 miles long and 2.2 miles wide.
It's a lot bigger than you think it is.
It is a lot. I remember. So according to a lot of areas, it says it's the ideal size for Disney Cruise Lines to get in and out for the day.
Right.
When we first arrived, when our ship, we were on the Disney Dream and we pulled up, other than the sparkling water, because that actually is probably one of the most accurate, like, depiction. Like, when you go on Instagram and you see, like, they call it Instagram and then reality. Like, it doesn't look
very different.
This definitely, like, the water was beautiful. But I remember looking out on the veranda and going, that's it?
It looks small from the ship.
Yeah.
But then when you get onto the island itself,
right,
there's these walkways that you can take, and they have an observation tower. You can kind of go up. It's like a 1 or 2 story observation tower that you can climb up, and you can see the overlay of the island.
Yeah.
It's pretty big.
It's
when you're in the middle of the island.
Oh, yeah. Don't judge a book, because I'm telling you, when I looked, I had what I thought was a pretty clear view from the veranda the veranda room we had. It didn't look that big.
No, and we had a veranda room, so I was out on the balcony when they were backing the ship up.
I don't know if I was, like, very clear. Sorry. Yeah.
And one of the coolest things that you can, if you get up early, I don't know what time you're going to get into the harbor, but it's usually pretty early.
Yeah.
Watching them back the cruise ship up or pull the cruise ship up into the dock area where people get off is the coolest thing to watch and observe.
Wait, that's what you did?
Yeah, I was just sitting there as they're, like, pulling up to getting everything set up for us to get off the boat.
Oh, that's cool.
It is pretty cool.
I was probably
seeing them maneuver
ready.
that big ship into the harbor there. It was really early in the morning, but it was nice.
Honestly, growing up, my sister and my brother-in-law are a lot older than me. And so when I was growing up, they had a very small boat. And I got the opportunity to do a lot of boating when I was, like, a teenager. And I absolutely love being on the water. And that's the part of cruising I really love. Like, I remember watching my brother-in-law tie in the boat and all that. It's just, like, really cool to watch. So for me, being on the cruise, yes, getting to the island is also awesome, but the actual cruising part is pretty cool.
Well, I wasn't a boat goer when I was a kid. I wasn't a boater.
Okay.
I don't even know how to say it. See, I didn't even know the word. I'm so much of a not boater that I didn't even know the word boater to say it there.
We're so awkward. Keep going.
But I was fine on the ship. I didn't get seasick or anything.
That's true. Okay. So they purchased the island. Disney purchased the island Gorda Cay for $25 million. It took 18 months for Disney Imagineers and all the teams, construction, to make the island what it is. So for guests to arrive, a guest-friendly destination, and it officially opened in 1998. That's the commercials I've been watching.
That's the commercials from 1998?
Yeah, it's so much fun.
What were they like?
I think the commercials of the past are just
1998 was 7 years ago, right?
Yeah, totally. Very much so. 10 years ago, for sure. So, okay. So now, one thing that I didn't realize until recently is that really the only way to get to Castaway Cay is by being a Disney Cruise Line guest.
Well, you said they have an airstrip. You can't just come in hot.
You can't come in hot. You can't, and you cannot just, like, live on the, try to sneak on. What was it on Pirates where it was, who was it? When they snuck on the bow?
Oh, it was Elizabeth.
Was it Elizabeth or was it Will?
I think it was Will on the bow of the ship
Was it
But it was Elizabeth who transformed into a boy.
Oh, right.
And then remember they found her dress?
Oh, yeah. No, I was thinking more about Will hiding in the Flying Dutchman.
Yeah, no, he did. Yeah, Will did that, but you can't do that.
You can't do that with a Disney Cruise Line. Sorry.
They check it.
Okay. But that being said, even though you can't go there just unless you're on the Disney Cruise Line, there are people that live there. So there are cast members, about 100 cast members that live there full time, and they work on the island. They do various things. And I just thought, how cool is that? I would love to just say, all right, yep, island life, I'm there.
Right?
Yeah.
But there's not a lot to do there. So yeah, part of me is like, that would be cool.
What else? What do you need? You have the beach.
I mean, you got the beach.
What else do you really need? The traffic and the hustle and bustle of every day?
I guess not. I guess if you can take your bike and ride it to work in a nice open air environment, and put your feet in the sand a little bit before you get to your post wherever it is on the island to work. That sounds like a pretty good gig, I guess.
That's what I'm saying.
Would you miss the hustle and bustle of life, or going to the store, or going to get a coffee or anything like that?
I don't think so.
I guess for a small period of time, I'd be able to do it.
I'm pretty sure I'd be all set. But there's 100 people, and that's actually something that I was always curious about, because when we go and we see the island and we see how wonderful the cast members are, and they obviously take great care of the island. I always wondered when we left, because I just assumed that nobody lived there, just because it just seems, even though it's really not that far from mainland, it's definitely feels like it.
Oh, you feel like you're miles away. Well, you are miles away, but you feel like
but it doesn't feel like
you can't see anything on the horizon anywhere.
Feels like a whole planet away.
Yeah, but that would be fun.
Okay, well, we can dream.
Can I intern and do that?
We can try.
Can I intern and ask specifically to do that? Like, yes. I don't want to do anything else.
But what skills do we have that we could offer them? I don't know. That's the question.
That's a good point.
Did you know that in 2019, that Cruise Critic Destination, Disney got the award from Cruise Critic Destination Award for Best Cruise Line Private Island.
Yes, who doesn't know that?
Okay, well, I'm sorry. I just wanted to bring it up real quick.
Newsflash, everybody knows that.
I've heard that other private islands are pretty cool. I know Royal Caribbean owns a private place that you can go and have fun, but it's interesting to me to see this award, and I really truly feel like it is one of the best private islands. And what I love the most about Castaway Cay in general too is the fact that, and Disney Cruise Line, is the fact that you don't have to have kids with you. But if you do, it's great. If you don't, it's great too. Like, there's just that level of service, and you get that in the island too. It's not kiddie zone areas. There's an adult section that if you just want to be, with other adults, there's that. So I really appreciate that about this island.
Yeah, a lot of people ask us too, like, is Disney Cruise Line for kids, like people with kids?
Yeah.
And yeah, obviously it's great if you have kids, but as an adult, if you are appreciative of service, cleanliness, theming, you could have a great time on Disney Cruise Line. And then when you do get to Castaway Cay, there's a whole area for adults only. There's a whole restaurant for adults only where you can eat, not have kids around if you don't like kids.
Have you really?
Or you don't have any. And then there's a whole beach area for adults only that's way more quiet and relaxed than the main beach area. That's, I don't want to say noisy, but there's a hustle and bustle going on there. There's people scuba diving. There's kids playing. It's like got a good atmosphere.
It's lively.
Yeah, lively is a good word to put it and a good way to describe it.
There's a lot happening. It's not, to me, a good indicator of how an island, how the crowds were on the island. And don't forget, we were on the Dream, which is one of the bigger type ships. That
meaning a lot of people.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's actually something that somebody did bring up to me a few times was, when you travel on a smaller cruise ship, obviously there's going to be less people at Castaway Cay.
Right.
Which is interesting because I actually didn't feel like it was too overwhelming with people. And it was a beautiful day. So everybody had disembarked off the ship. But I feel the best to me, because it's just my opinion. Obviously, I'm an extrovert. I thrive being around other people. I agree. I love it. I just think I think mainly because of us, the way we are, right? We don't necessarily, we love cruising and all that, but like we don't love crowds.
Yeah, so we got off the boat relatively early. We found this spot right around the corner. There was a couple hammocks kind of up on a hill. You had to walk down and around rocks to get to the beach where the snorkeling place is. And we just kind of got the hammocks and we reserved them all day. And it was like our own little hideaway kind of place. It was great. I think that's what made it more enjoyable for me is it was quiet. You can kind of go walk on the beach, but we had a place where we could kind of escape to without having to buy a cabana or rent a cabana and have your own little area.
Yeah, I saved that. I actually saved that at the end. I actually wrote down like things we love about it.
Yeah.
And that was one of them. Just relaxing on the hammocks and just having your own space.
It was great. And then you could just rent your snorkel, your fins. You kind of just take them down to the water, hop in the water there, and do a little snorkeling.
Do your thing. Just be mindful that there will be fish in the water, which may or may not be exciting and or something your kids would love.
I'm going to say this about the snorkeling.
Okay.
I wasn't super impressed with the snorkeling.
Really?
Yeah, I wasn't. It was a lot of swimming.
So I was impressed because the water is so tranquil and just really easy. I thought.
You know what it was? It was a
Until I
lot of
got-
swimming. And what I thought it was going to be like and what it was like is different.
Really?
It was more of an orchestrated area than it was a natural environment where you see fish.
I guess that's true. But I actually did appreciate that because I had young kids with us. So I did appreciate the fact that it was kind of like closed off.
Yeah.
You snorkeled where you needed to, and there was like an area where you just turned back around. That being said, it is a lot of work.
It's far out. It seems like it, you go to the beach and you walk out a certain amount of way and you get up to a certain level of depth. This felt like you had to go out 100 feet in order to be 5 feet deep.
It was a lot. I just remember it was like a reality check when I got back. I was like, wow, is it all the food I've been eating all week? What is it? Because I could not.
It was a good workout.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for an exciting snorkeling trip where you're going to see a lot of natural environments, this isn't it. This is more of a family snorkeling trip where you can have your kids go and know they're going to not be so scared because there's going to be these schools of fish coming through you and all these natural environments. It's more of a just...
No, there are fish. And
there are, but it's not like you would normally see in a
you're
snorkeling
not surprised,
environment. Yeah.
Maybe is the right way to say it. Like, because there was a lot of fish, and I think
it's like scuba diving in a big giant fish tank, right? Like there's these statues, like you think of a fish tank, and like there's these rock formations that are man-made that are put there. There's these statues that are put there.
True,
it's a fake environment.
Okay, I'll give you that.
It's a natural sea, but it's a fake environment.
Okay. Oh.
So I was a little disappointed with that. I'm not saying it wasn't good and it wasn't fun, but I was a little lackluster for somebody who has been snorkeling or likes that.
All I remember is just one of our kids, I'm not going to name names, having a full-blown panic because a fish may have gently gone onto her leg as she was snorkeling, and it was a little too sensitive for her.
Yeah, she didn't like that at all.
It wasn't something she was used to because we're from New England and our beaches literally have nothing in it. It's
well, they
boring.
don't. No, they have fish in there, but the water's not that clear.
It's
so
not
you
that
can have
clear.
a fish come pretty close to you, and you're not going to really see it.
When's the last time you had a fish come near you when you were swimming in our beaches?
Yesterday. You weren't there?
No. If anything, it was seaweed.
That's true.
Okay.
That's probably what it was.
So that just was something I think she wasn't expecting so close to her. So if you have a child or an adult that might be sensitive to that, just make sure you talk about it beforehand so it's not a full-blown, literally, her fins, she was going 1,000,000 miles an hour to get out of there, and
Yeah,
I
she was
couldn't
out.
keep up. It was pretty tough.
That was the end of her snorkeling day.
Yeah, for a while. Okay, another cool tip. I think we went way too far on this last one, but another cool tip, there are several small details that pay tribute to Disney, to Disney execs, just like Disney parks. So for an example, there's a nod to Bob Iger in the park. So
Is Bob Chapek in there?
I don't know. Hopefully not. And anyway, it says Captain Bob Iger, and I don't remember seeing this, but I went through a deep dive and tried to find images and stuff, and it says he's a shrimp distributor.
Interesting.
Quality, reliability, Key West, Willow Bay.
I don't remember seeing that either.
They're I remember seeing things throughout the island, but I guess I wasn't really thinking that Disney would do that just like they do. So for an example, we obviously know all about the windows of Main Street.
Right.
And how they relate to certain Disney legends, Disney Imagineers, but I didn't know they actually do that throughout. So like, for example, on the island, they did do that. So
There's a lot to see too, because
Right.
you're only there for a short period of time.
In 2006, this is my favorite. I don't think you know about this, Bruce. The Flying Dutchman made a stop on the island.
The boat?
The Flying Dutchman. Yes, the Flying Dutchman from the Pirates of the Caribbean film Dead Man's Chest made an appearance on Castaway Cay.
That is very cool.
If you go through pictures, it looks amazing.
I'm going to Google it right now as you're
talking. Go
talking.
through it because it's probably one of the facts that I squealed. 2006. I don't think I was... This is crazy. I still had not watched Pirates of the Caribbean in 2006.
Was it? Yeah, maybe not by that point.
I think the first time I watched... So 2006? I think 2009 was when I finally watched the first Pirates of the Caribbean.
Wow, that would be so cool.
Fan, right? So it was a fact that I didn't realize until now because it didn't necessarily something that popped to my excitement back then.
Wow, imagine seeing that when you're there. I'm looking at a picture right now on the website, and imagine being able to see this while you're at Castaway Cay. That would be so cool.
Yeah, it's amazing. I can't imagine. I mean, it looks amazing on just a photograph on the internet. Imagine in person.
I know.
That's why it's pretty epic of Disney. So that's cool. That's what I just think that makes it even more special when they do things like that, and they celebrate things like that. I think they could, well, I don't know if they would do it nowadays, but that was a fact that I thought was really cool. And also, did you know that in addition to obviously Disney does a lot for their resort guests, but they do also really try to do a lot with sustainability on the island itself. They have a new solar facility, and it powers 70% of the private island.
That's cool. That's good.
Yeah.
Which is important nowadays, too.
Definitely.
Because people are aware of that way more now than they were 15, 20 years ago.
Definitely. And they have scientists and research teams that are there to basically preserve the coral reefs and the marine life habitats. It's really important, and I think that is something that Disney does best, and I think they have the most awareness of it, and I think it makes other people more aware because they're such a large organization. I think you can't help but...
It sets a good precedent for other people.
Definitely.
All right, let's get into some things that we love.
Okay. Things that we love. We did talk about the hammocks.
The hammocks were cool. Listen, but you can find that at any beach.
No, see, that's funny you said that because I said to G, hey, we're doing a podcast on Castaway Cay. Give me some things. She went on and on about the hammocks, and I have a whole video of her. I didn't realize that stuck out to her so much because she's our energetic one and doesn't necessarily love lounging. But
when you get 72 ice cream cones for breakfast,
that's true.
You got to have a little place to take a nap in the afternoon.
That definitely must be the reason because she went on and on about it.
I actually enjoyed the food a lot more than I thought I was going to. That's one thing that I liked.
The island restaurant was actually not only delicious, unexpected because you're on an island, right? So you're assuming, all right, this is going to be quick service at its best day in the Disney park, not really that great. But first of all, the way they organize the guests to get their food, it is so well oiled. Like you're in and out of there. There's no real waiting around for food. They're really expecting you and they want to feed you. And I love that because that's part of the vacation that makes it so awesome is that you never have to feel like you're going to be hungry.
And they have a good mix of items available. So if you have picky eaters, they have things for them. If you have more elaborate taste buds, they have things for them. I thought it was great. And I thought it was good food to eat while you're on the beach.
Definitely.
You don't necessarily think of barbecue and beach go together.
Yeah.
At least I don't. But it was a good mixture. I liked it.
I thought the food was exceptional. And I think, again, maybe it was low expectations in the beginning, but I don't think so.
Yeah, there was some videos that we have, and maybe I'll post them on Instagram or something or put them on the website. But there was some videos of us with the meals that we had from our cruise, and it was very enjoyable. The other thing that I liked that I didn't think I was going to is renting bikes.
Right? Because...
Although I enjoy renting bikes no matter where we are. It's pretty fun.
Well, it's hot.
Yeah.
It's the sun and the sea salt and the water definitely, I think, wears you down. So it's not necessarily like the first thing that comes into your mind. Like, I'm going to go ride a bike.
It's a great way to explore the island, too, because, yes, you can walk. And there's a lot of people running on the island. Like there was people.
Wait, I didn't see that.
There was a lot of people running. There's a whole 5K area that you can go on where people were just getting their exercise in, which I wouldn't do. But
I wouldn't either, but I mean, wow, that's impressive.
You could walk the pathways and kind of take a walking trip around the island to kind of do a little exploring. But bikes is a way more fun way to do that. And I rented bikes with the kids, and we kind of went bike riding all around the island, and I had the best time. I didn't think I was going to, because you're in your bathing suit and you're kind of like, I don't know if I want to ride a bike around the island. It's hot. You're in a bathing suit. But I so enjoyed it. I'm so looking forward to that next time.
I think that is special, and I think that the kids will always remember riding their bike on the island as well.
Yeah, racing. We were like racing in the back way, like who can get to that point first. Of course, it's got to be competitive if we're involved.
Of course.
But that's what it was. It was so fun. I just enjoyed that. That's the memory that I have that I'll look back on and be like, remember when we went cruising and we went riding bikes on Castaway Cay?
I remember.
It was fun.
I'm looking at pictures again just to refresh my memory, and I just realized this is why we were talking recently on our other podcast about we were talking about Volcano Bay being the better of the
water parks.
And I always said, wait, no, Typhoon Lagoon. And obviously, Volcano Bay, the technology makes it a lot easier. There's no waiting around, whatever. But I realized that the reason why I like Typhoon Lagoon so much more is because it reminds me of this island.
It does remind you of the island for sure, but that doesn't make it better.
No. I know, but I think you might appreciate Typhoon Lagoon a lot. Listen, Typhoon Lagoon is an awesome water park, but if you're comparing it to the Universal one, I think you would appreciate Disney's Typhoon Lagoon a lot more if you've ever visited this particular island.
Well, listen, not everybody can take a cruise. They're a little bit pricey.
No, that is true. So that's true. That, it is all relative, right? So you kind of have to weigh in and out what is important to you and your family. I was talking to you earlier about, I know we're not specifically talking about cruising on this show, but I have to mention that on one of the Disney promos, I think it was a little later than 1998, there was a commercial, and it was a little girl, and she was bossing her parents around. She's like, all right, I'm going to be here. I'm going to do this. And then we'll catch up and watch a show. And then wait, can you eat dinner by yourself? And I was just like, it was actually a really fun commercial, and it was brilliant. But I was like, our kids would never do that.
No.
They would never do that. But that is something that's cool. Like, if you want to go somewhere and bring your kids, but you don't necessarily want to be with your kids all the time, that is possible.
There was quite a few parents who didn't want to be with their kids on this cruise. That's for sure.
That's for sure. Yeah. And no judging. None whatsoever.
No.
But it's just our kids are a little clingy.
You need to get away sometimes. It's really important to have alone time, especially even for your kids. It's really good for your kids to kind of go off and do their own thing and be their own people and to explore who they are.
Work on that, will you?
Yeah.
Okay. And lastly, by the way, another fact that I dug up was that it's actually, the island itself isn't all developed by Disney. It's only a small percentage that actually is actually developed by Disney.
Well, if you go back to, I don't know where this area is, but if you go back to, I mentioned the little platform that you can go on. Mm-hmm. So if you take your bike ride or you go walk on the path, there's this platform that you can go on, and it's an observation tower. You can see the whole island in a 360-degree view, and you can see how much of the island there's nothing there.
Nothing. Yeah. It's pretty
It's
cool.
amazing. It's only a really small part of the area that's got stuff on it.
Yeah. Well, it's beautiful. I hope that you guys get to see it one day. If not, just live through the podcast, travel by ear. So much for joining us.
Yeah. Follow us on Instagram, Unlocking the Magic Podcast. Go check us out on YouTube. You can search us at Unlocking the Magic over on YouTube. And we hope you like it.
We hope you like it. Thanks, everybody.
See ya.